Hello, everyone. This is Thomas Pepin, NHL Talk. I'm Thomas Pepin, and let's talk about the NHL. So, as I was going to say as normal, but I guess as semi-normal, we'll do a recap of the past 2 weeks in the NHL. So news and a whole bunch of stuff like that. Not quite normal because depending on the quantity of news stories, it might be 1 week or 2 weeks. So, and I guess potentially 3 weeks if it's a really, really slow period. But in any case, so it's the past 2 weeks, and we're going to cover all the news stories here. And, well, I already covered updates and stuff, like upcoming stuff in the last franchise mode stream to start that stream. So I don't know if yeah, basically if you want some updates, just go to that stream, and it's like the first 5 minutes of the stream. I explain everything that's going on. So yeah, so I won't bother again. So yeah, let's just get to the news. Right? Okay. Was it the entire? I forget if I covered this. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so it was. So the main people were picked for the All-Star Game, and then these are the additional players. I have to try to remember. It's been a while since it happened. Um, so 10 players were remaining, I guess, to be chosen, and so they are as follows. So I think it's held in Toronto, and so Toronto people were voted in. And I mean, it's to me, it's not a big deal because they're all not necessarily all stars this season, but they're all star worthy. So nothing wrong with that. Two goalies, kind of surprising, but at least for the East, and then for the West, you can see the guys there. Draisaitl for sure. It's one of those ones that wasn't there, and it's like, how could he not be there? Makar, obviously, same story. Pedersen, I would argue the same thing. JT Miller's had a crazy good season so far. Besser, same story. Anyways, so those are the additions. There were some minor adjustments after that, and that'll come later. I don't know when exactly. It's all in chronological order here, so this goes back to the 13th of January. And then in terms of coaches, those are the four coaches there: Montgomery, Laviolette, Tocchet, and Bowness. I feel like there's something missing there. So Tocchet and Bowness have definitely, Tocchet in particular has massively overperformed, or performed above expectations, and Bowness, I would say, is above expectations, but not how big of a gap there is. I feel like there's another person that should have. Where is it here? Let's just flip over here because I just want to see. No. Okay, so never mind. I thought there was another team that was maybe where a coach would be more deserving, but no, I think that's about right. yeah, so not much more to say than that. Those are the coaches for the All-Star game that's coming up. I think it's like on the 4th or something like that. And yeah, like I said, when I previously covered what they're going to be doing during the skills competition and things like that, it actually sounds interesting again, finally. So I think I'm going to watch it this year, and I really hope that it's actually entertaining. And not entertaining in the way that it has been lately, where it's like guys in capes doing spinoramas or whatever kind of dumb stuff. I just want to see the skilled players get tested to their skills, as it was. Sometimes simple is better, in my opinion. So, anyways, in other news, so Nichushkin from the Avalanche is going to be indefinite period of leave for the Player Assistance Program. Again, I don't talk about personal things, so whatever it would be in this case or any other case, I never will talk about it. It's nobody else. Obviously, if it becomes public, it's everybody's business, so to speak. But in my opinion, it's none of my business, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's just relevant if you're a fan, let's say, of the Avalanche, and he's a player that you like or a player that you think is important. It's good to know that he's going to be missing. Not good that he is missing, but good to know that he is. So anyways, that's an update. And there's another one like that later on. A very, big news story for some people, but for me, again, I just talk about hockey. All the other stuff outside of hockey, that's not stuff that I cover. So anyways, super cool to see this. So Fleury passed, it was Wall, was it not? For second place on the list in all-time wins in the NHL. So awesome for Fleury. And it's, how old is he now? I think he's 39, is it? No, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, 39. Okay, so I'm not crazy. So just in time, and I think that's kind of his. I doubt the Wild are going to win a cup, so I'm glad to see him, finish out his last bit of his career breaking a record. He kind of deserves it. He's won 2 cups, is it? I think it's 2 cups. Oh man. Late streams are tiring. It's funny because other people are going to be sleeping by now. That's the problem with this stream. It's the only time I have to do it, and most people won't be able to tune in, but you can always watch this back when it's convenient for you and whatever. Stanley, during his 13 seasons with the team, is it 3 cups? I thought it was only 2. Anyways, whatever. He's won cups too, so I think, in my opinion, he's a Hall of Famer, that's for sure. So, anyways, happy for Fleury. It's a pretty cool story to second in wins out. How far is he from? I think it's Brodeur, is it not? $691, 552. Yeah, there's no way he's passing that. So, in any case, good for him to get second place, and that's probably as far as it's going to go. But he'll hopefully get some more wins. So Stamkos hasn't been extended. So there were rumors or thoughts that he would be traded, and I was of the opinion that it would be likely that he would be traded, because I don't think they had the cap space to really keep him, or unless he takes a cut or whatever. It just seemed like it was going to be difficult, and he's getting older too, so maybe they wouldn't want to. So there were rumors of him getting traded, and I don't typically talk about rumors, but, and you can take this with a grain of salt, because sometimes GMs will say something and then they use that as leverage to try to do something else. So they can say, oh, we're not trading Stamkos, and then try to, by doing that, to put up the value of him as an asset for trade. So who knows? But apparently, according to the GM, Stamkos is not going to get traded. So just an interesting comment, something relevant. This one I thought was a great story. I'm really happy for him. So Cody Hodgson played in the NHL, I don't know how many seasons. Well, anyways, I was going to look up how he's done since he came back. So we can also discover that here. So he played in something like 7 NHL seasons. And so since he's come back, he's played in 2 games, 2 penalty minutes. But anyways, what's more relevant is exactly his story. So he retired back in 2015-16 after having been diagnosed with RYR1 related malignant hyperthermia, which includes numerous injuries, severe symptoms, and episodes of rhabdomyolysis. I can't remember how it's pronounced. But anyways, and hyperthermia would be increased heat, if I'm not mistaken, from the root of that, because hypo is lack of. Yeah, so I'm sure there's a bunch of different things related to the heat, and especially playing a sport, like a high performance sport, and there's probably a whole bunch of different things that were related to that made it difficult. So he's been cleared to play again. Oh man, sorry. I think he has like a clean bill of health, or at least it's been decreased so much so that he can come back. So anyway, so that's great, and he's still young enough to play, 33 years old. He was a first round pick, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. 10th overall, yeah, from Vancouver. So we'll see what happens. Good for him. Cool story to never give up. Just in a different way. This was health, medical related, where it could be anything. So I say that and talk about a retirement. So there you go. 34 years old, and Tyler Ennis has retired after 13 seasons. 346 points in 700 games. Not really much more to say than that. I always cover injuries later on. We scan through and talk. Well, I draw attention to ones that are a month or more, and so I will cover more later on. But whenever it's like season-ending injuries, I like to cover those separately and ahead of time. So in this case, and in particular for important players. So Spurgeon, captain, I think, yeah, he's still captain. Is out for the remainder of the season with hip and back injuries. They say he's supposed to be ready for next training camp. Canucks extend Rutherford. Oh, he's president of hockey operations. Who's GM then? Man, Vancouver's at the cap, and their team's not even that fantastic. Oh, Alvin or Alvin? I don't know how it's pronounced. So, anyways, I thought he was like dual role, but I guess not. Anyways, he got extended, so it's not as important, I guess, as I thought it was going to be. So Pinto was suspended for 41 games for breaking gambling policies, and he served his time and was just signed to a 1-year contract for $775,000. $775,000. Yeah, I thought I said that wrong for a second. And later, again, I talked about signings, but this one was relevant because we weren't sure what was going to happen with him from that suspension. So it appears as though they are interested in keeping him. So that's that, I guess. I actually missed this news because I missed a few days of, after I knew I wasn't going to be doing last week's Friday stream covering the news. I missed this because I missed a couple days of taking a look, and it was huge news. And I was like, oh my God, how did I miss this? But anyway, so Islanders hired Patrick Waugh as coach over Lambert, who got fired. And for me, this was like crazy news. So my dad was a Montreal fan when he was a kid. He was a Montreal fan when I was a kid as well. And in particular, was a huge fan of Patrick Waugh. So he would collect his hockey cards. I collected Gretzky because that's who I was most interested in at the time. And so anyway, so I always saw Patrick Waugh stuff. So I've always been interested in what he's done. And he did so good when he coached in the NHL. But actually, the funny thing, when I went back and looked at his stats, they weren't that great. We'll just take a quick look here. And then we might as well pull up Lambert as well, because I don't think Lambert was that great. He was pretty short-lived too. All right, so first we'll do Lambert. So as a coach, he's only coached the one season as a head coach. 42-31, or 42-31 and 9, and lost in the first round. And this team was quite good in my opinion. When they had Trotz and stuff, and I still, the team hasn't really changed much, and I still have a very high opinion of the Islanders. They're one of those teams that if they make the playoffs, they can be a really dangerous team. So, anyways, so we don't really know how good of a coach he was. In the AHL, he did decent, I guess. Oh, man. I think the same thing happened last time with all my yawns during the news stream, so my apologies. Okay, so as a coach, when he was with Colorado, 52-22-8 in that first season, and they lost in the first round. But this was with a really young team. I remember that. as long as I'm remembering correctly. So it's like when McKinnon and I think Landeskog was maybe there. They weren't that great of a team, and I think they way overperformed. And then he missed the playoffs the next 2 seasons. So, but they were, again, I thought they were a rebuilding team, I guess, at that point. I don't know if you'd call it that, but they were a very young team. And so I don't know if you can really put that on Wah. I think that, like I said, I think they overperformed on the first season. And the problem with that sometimes is it skews expectations where the GM is like, oh, well, you just did this, so how come you can't keep doing this? And then you get fired. But so I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. It's funny because he had some pretty bad seasons in junior, but also some outstanding seasons, and primarily outstanding seasons. So makes you wonder, well, maybe what happened, because you see those bad seasons are immediately after he was in Colorado, so maybe he wasn't able to have an impact on the team. I think he still retained ownership, or I don't know if he was a manager. He couldn't have been when he was a coach. But anyways, so yeah, you need to kind of turn it around, and very quickly he did. So yeah, so I was going to knock that, but then I guess, yeah, that's kind of difficult to really critique based on the order of how things went down. So I don't know. So I'm super excited about this, and I have a feeling he's going to do very well, and I think he's got the right team for it. I don't know what his plan, like how he coaches exactly, like if he's a defensive kind of coach or what. But the Islanders have pretty much everything you need to be a good team, capable of scoring, good defensively, or supposed to be at least capable defensively, good goalies. They got everything. So if he's not successful with them, then I would argue that he's probably not that great of a coach. But we'll see. He's got a great opportunity, in my opinion. So hopefully they give him a long enough leash, maybe, well, obviously the rest of the season, hopefully at least 2 seasons, and we'll see what happens. But you never know what's going to happen. So super pumped about that. I already like the Islanders, so now this makes me even more interested in the Islanders. So pretty cool. So a whole bunch of rumors about what exactly happened with Corey Perry. Obviously, again, I don't cover rumors and personal stuff, but his contract was terminated, I think was the official terms. I don't know exactly. Can't remember. I covered it before. But pretty cool that he signed with the Oilers. Hasn't played yet from last time I saw. And yeah, I think he'll fit in easily and be a great addition for the team. So we'll see what happens there. So this was something I was alluding to earlier, that there were some changes for the All-Star Game. So Tocchet is... Oh, so I guess it's not conference specific, but Tocchet and Kyle Connor are replacing Eichel and Bedard, who are missing due to injury. So important to know, I guess, if you're going to watch the All-Star Game. So other news, again, this one's just to cover it. Tom Fitzgerald, the GM of the Devils, was extended multi-year contract, does it say? It doesn't say it there. Ho, 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 ho. Does it not tell us? Well, and I should also say he was given the additional title of President of Hockey Operations, but just to be accurate. Multi-year contract. Multi-year. Yeah, but how many is multis? Multi could be what, 3? Or 2, I guess, even, technically. Anyways, so I guess we don't know the official number of years, but he's been extended. So I don't know if this tells us more information, but apparently Salt Lake City is trying, or a group from there is trying to get a team, like an NHL team. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't seem to say anything too crazy. So as always, these links, like all the articles, are in the description with the links. So you can read more if you want, but just a quick scan there. It doesn't look like there's any information other than Salt Lake City's interested and they're talking with the NHL, which doesn't necessarily mean anything. So, because I'm sure lots of people are talking with the NHL. So, interesting. We'll see what happens. Again, something I was alluding to earlier. So there's 5 players that are on leave from playing. So there's McLeod. I think it's pronounced McLeod. Foote, both from the Devils. Carter Hart from the Flyers. Dubé from the Flames, and then Formenton, who's playing in Europe. They're all on indefinite leave for things that you can look up yourself if you're interested. But in some cases, it's been described as personal or mental health reasons. You can even see it on the screen, what it tells you. And like I said, I don't talk about anything outside of hockey. So that's as much as I'm going to say. So in particular, like Carter Hart's a big loss for Philly. I don't know how he's played this season. I haven't looked that closely, but Philly's playing well, and I'm assuming he's been important at least. So yeah, so just important to know that players are going to be missing time. Okay, so I'm going to be covering contracts, so signings later on. The only ones I cover ahead of time would be ones where they're $5 million or more per season, and so this is an example of one. So we'll have a look, and I'll give my opinion on the contract. So it's Tippett with Philly. Where is he here? Oh, he's injured. Okay. So he signed at $6.2 million per for 8 seasons, which is very cap friendly. Pun. What was he? 10th overall pick from Florida. He's 24, so that'll bring him to 32. That's basically the bulk of his important seasons. So far hasn't produced anything too fantastic. a third of a point per game up to maybe 2/3 of a point per game, so nothing too crazy. He's a right wing. Is he right shot? So pretty rare, or more rare, right shots. So there's some value there, and he's got good potential. Played World Juniors, like I said, was a first round pick. So definitely could turn into something great. At that cap hit, it's not a crazy risk. I don't like the term because there's not enough production yet. 27 goals is great in 77 games. Just you need to have other points up if that's your total. So, anyway, so in my opinion, do I think that's a good contract? That's a good question. 6.2 for essentially, it looks like he's going to be a 20 some odd goal scorer. So at the very least, well, with inflation, it's definitely market value, that's for sure. But like as it is, it's market value. But what I mean is, yeah, like with inflation, it's going to be a good contract based on the production. But I don't know if there's enough of a sample size for me to be confident. So personally, I mean, based on this track record, I would be wanting something like 3 seasons, maybe at $6 million. I'd be okay with doing something like that. You risk later on where you have to pay him more, but you have to prove it first to justify it. And I would rather pay somebody that you know is producing versus pay somebody ahead of time with no idea if they're going to produce. So at the very least, like I said, it's not a bad contract because it's going to be market value, assuming he produces similarly or maybe slightly better. But if he goes back down to like a third of a point per game, then you're definitely overpaying. So we'll see what happens, but not a bad contract, just definitely not what I would do. In other news, so Oilers had their 15th win, which was their team record, I believe. Yeah, so its franchise record was at 13. And so the team record's 15 now. The league record is 17. So we'll see what happens. Got to get 2 more wins. But it's funny because I was saying even though they had a bad start to the season, don't count them out. And then surely enough, they came back like, with there's a phrase I was looking for. Anyways, they came back and clearly put in a good effort to get back into things, so good for them. So next up, suspensions and fines and things like that. So Gallagher was just suspended 5 games for it was a hit to the head. But I was just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. Fine. Suspended. I forget if the Gord one, I think I covered that last time. No, I guess I didn't. O'Brien. Zucker was the most recent one. Okay. So Gallagher suspended 5 games. Illegal check to the head. Kesselring fined for cross-checking. Timmins fined for, what did he do? Cross-checking. Lockwood suspended for 3 games. This was for hitting Fleury. I think Fleury left the game if I'm not mistaken. Gord suspended 2 games for charging. And O'Brien fined for roughing. Where did this start? I think it was like this. Let's pull up the date. So 13th is where we need to come from. January. So there's Spurgeon. We already know about that one. So like I said, a month or more is kind of what I'm looking for. Carson Soucy, I think is how you pronounce his last name, out until March 3rd with a hand injury. Must be a bad hand injury. What else? Dougie Hamilton, we already knew that one, but I guess there was just an update there. February 27. So Luff from Detroit is going to be out about a month. And that's it for long-term major injuries. For waiver claims, there was a bunch that all happened there at once, as well as another one. So Spencer Martin, I don't know what his cap situation is. He was claimed, so inexpensive. And it cost them nothing to get him, so I think that's a great pickup, because I think he's had times where he's played well, and Carolina's had injury problems with their goalies, so lucky and good pickup for them. So anyways, yeah, Spencer Martin goes to the Hurricanes. De Simone, I'm assuming is how it's pronounced, goes to the Devils. Nothing too exciting there. Then Ruzicka goes to Arizona. He's done okay. So that's a decent pickup, I think, for Arizona. That's that for waivers. Contracts. Foligno, I think, was the last one we did. So Dickinson signed $4.25 million for 2 years. Protas $3.375 for 5 years. That's a pretty long contract. How old is he? 23. 3rd round pick. Nothing crazy for production, so there must be something they like about him, I guess. Anyways, interesting. Mrazek signed 2 years, 4.25. These are extensions for the most part, I believe. I think they were all extensions. We know about Pinto already and Perry. Cole Smith for $1 million, 2 years. Like $1 million per year for 2 years. Oh, yeah, that was the other one. So Parise finally signed, and he signed with Colorado. $825,000 for the rest of the season. So good value for Colorado. I think he's going to do quite well there. So, yeah, so great signing. great opportunity for Parise, so that's cool. And then Poling, 2 years at 1.9 per. Trades, there was just the one butcher for Kachkovich. You got to give me all these difficult to read names. Butcher was playing for Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, half a point per game. I mean, he could play well again. He played well a couple seasons in the NHL. Don't know what happened to him, though. And then this other guy, point per game in the East Coast Hockey League, doing decent in the AHL. That's that. And then so scores, again, it's if you care about the scores, you can look at them yourself, like highlights and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just looking for any really lopsided scores that kind of stand out. Oh yeah, there was that postponed game in Buffalo from a snowfall. And then I think they played the next night, it looks like. There's been a couple 7-4 scores. Avalanche over Senators, I think it was, and then Flyers, you can see there. Canucks beat the Leafs 6-4. Oh yeah, Patrick Waugh won his first game, lost his second, and then lost his third, I believe, in Montreal. So it doesn't look like there's any crazy lopsided scores or anything of great interest, so that's that. A part that I always look forward to is comparing my predictions to the current standings, and so we'll have a look at that. So in the Atlantic Division, and so the way I should say that I do it is I give myself a yes for being correct if a team is in a playoff spot. Because getting the order at this point is like extremely difficult, or even to begin with, like for at any point. So you definitely can't predict the spot, but you can, if you have them in the playoffs, then everybody has a shot in the playoffs. So in any case, so top three: Bruins, Panthers, Lightning. I have Bruin, Panthers, second and third, Lightning in eighth. So I'm three. One sec here. Yeah, so I'm 3 for 3, and I'm actually 4 for 4. That's what I was saying, 1 sec for, because the wild card spot, Leafs are in it. So 4 for 4 from the Atlantic Division. Obviously wrong order, but pretty darn close. And then Metropolitan, I have, Hurricanes, Islanders, Rangers, and currently it's Rangers, Hurricanes, Flyers, so 2 for 3 of those. And then Devils and Islanders are tied for the last spot there, and both of those are behind the Red Wings. So technically right now I'm wrong about the Islanders and also wrong about the Penguins, because the Penguins are further down. So for there I'm 2 for 4. So in the Eastern Conference I'm 6 for 8, which is pretty normal. I find it's always hard to get any more than 6 right. Ballpark 6 or 7 I tend to get right. So yeah, anyways, And then moving over to the Western Conference Central Division, I have Stars, Blues, Avalanche. Currently it's Jets, Avalanche, Stars, so 2 for 3 of those. Then you consider the wild card spot, makes me 3 for 4. Blues are not far behind. And then Pacific, there's no way I could have ever gotten the Canucks. But I have Knights, Oilers, Kings. Knights, Oilers, Kings falls into the 4th spot in their division, which puts them in a wild card spot. So that means I'm 3 for 4. So for the Pacific Division. So that means, again, I think 6 for 8. So altogether 12 for 16. Yeah, of playoff spots. So for me, that's, like I said, I mean, that's pretty normal, and it's difficult to be any better than that. So predictions are going pretty good, and not that it matters anything too crazy because I don't bet anymore. So yeah. Lastly, the points. Well, they changed the look of this. I guess it's actually better for the stream. So point leaders, you can kind of see them there. Kucherov's at the top, and McKinnon. And then there's a big leap, or a gap, I guess I should say, below that. Wow. And then goals, Matthews at the top, 39. And you can see the rest there. Goalies, Hill, I'm surprised, doing very well at the top of goals against, and I don't really look at that too closely or care about it. I don't think it's the best of stats, but save percentage is, and Hill is still at the top. So Hill, Hellbuck, a bunch of other guys that are doing well that usually might not be on that list. Defenseman Hughes at the top still. I think he's been at the top pretty much the whole season. Carr's catching up. And the rest there, Bedard's still leading the points, but he's injured, so we'll see what happens while he's out. And then I think that is the stream. So that brings us up to speed over the past 2 weeks. And again, so this is like probably a good way to keep track of what's going on in the league, or even to go back and get reminders about what happened at different points in the season. If you're not like looking at the news every day, and to be honest, to look at the news every day is a bit that's why it's not showing up correctly. To do that every day is just, who's got time for that? I mean, I like hockey and stuff, and most days I'm doing stuff. Well, every day I'm doing stuff with this channel, like with the shorts and giving you the scores and schedule and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, to follow the news, see everything. I guess I could watch highlights in the morning on a, like TSN in Canada or ESPN in the States or whatever. But it's just not as good as it used to be, so I don't bother. But yeah, so this is, I guess, your recap for the past 2 weeks. And that's about it. So if you like the stream, hit the like button, share with your friends, subscribe, turn on notifications. The channel homepage has upcoming streams on regular NHL content. It's always Fridays. I'm supposed to be streaming in the morning, or early afternoon. Haven't done it for a while because I've just been too busy. And again, to refer you back to the previous, most recent franchise stream, that gives you an update at the beginning of the stream about what's coming up for availability. So on that note, I might be doing some more of my streams. In this case, I think I would be doing stuff like tips on franchise mode, so it might not be this kind of visual stuff, or I should say like of me as opposed to of the video game. So so I might be adding that stream in coming up soon. Again, take a look at that other stream for more info. But at the very least, I'm going to be streaming a lot more coming up. And yeah, so for things I can't schedule ahead of time, like franchise mode, that schedules in the About section of the channel. It runs Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I think it's 10:15 p.m. Eastern. You can see that in the About section of the channel. Be a pros whenever I have time or feel like it. And I always feel like it, never have time. Any comments, leave them in the comments, suggestions likewise, and we will see you guys Sunday. Ooh, good point. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I don't know if I'm going to have to cancel that Tuesday. Anyways, getting ahead of myself because I'm gonna be flying on the 31st very, very early. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. So what I might do is cancel the franchise mode stream. Yeah, I might have to just straight cancel it. Anyways, if you ever don't see me on time, take a look at the About section of the channel. It'll tell you if I've canceled the stream so I guess the only one that I schedule ahead of time would be franchise mode. So it'll tell you there. Otherwise, if you don't see anything, it just means I'm running late. So, yeah. So if there's any changes to this coming 3 days of franchise mode, I'll let you know. But Sunday should be able to, Monday should be able to, Tuesday don't know. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for